So I posted an illustrative video about how to draft the neckline in the thumbnail of this video on TikTok, and I got loads of comments from you guys asking me to make a more detailed video about how to achieve the neckline, and also how I did my under bust, my over bust tightening, and also what the neckline at the back is going to look like. So in this video I'm going to be explaining in details how to achieve this neckline, and I'm going to also answer all the questions you asked me, or most of them. So let's jump into it. So I have here my half scale bodice. This is the front. It's on fold, as you can see, and I have the two back pieces. I'm going to start working from the front. I'm going to be marking 1 inch here, and on the armhole on this opposite side I'll be marking 1/2 inch. Next, I'm going to use a curve to connect from here to this point. Next thing I have to do is I have to determine how deep I want the other part of the neckline to be. I'm going to make it 5 inches, and the reason why I have chosen 5 inches, I'm marking that 5 inches here on this midpoint. The reason why I've chosen 5 inches is because the depth of the second neckline is somewhere around the armhole. I'll go ahead and use my curve to shape the other side of the neckline. I'm also going to mark 1/2 inch on this side. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the midpoint of this shoulder line. So find this midpoint now. Use a curve to connect from this point here to that midpoint which I just marked. Sorry guys, I noticed that for the last few minutes my lighting was malfunctioning, so I'm just going to quickly go over what I just did a few minutes ago, or a few seconds back. So what I did was I got the midpoint of this shoulder line, I marked it, and then I connected with a curve from here to this point where I marked earlier. I hope that makes sense. So now what we're going to do is we're going to be doing our over bust and then our under bust tightening. To do our over bust tightening and under bust tightening, first we need to find the midpoint of these two opposite shoulder lines. So for this one I've already found the midpoint because we needed it to achieve our neckline. But for this point, however, we'll still need to get it. So I'll just measure what I have here and divide by 2 to get the midpoint of that part. So this is the midpoint. So now what I'm going to do is I will connect from this midpoint to this bust point. Probably going to do the same thing on the other side. I will go ahead to do my over bust tightening. I'll start from this side. So for this side, I would move away on both sides of this line by 1/2 inch. I'm going to use a straight line to connect it back to my bust point. I'm also going to do the same thing here for this side. We are not going to leave this part like this, and the reason is because by the time you cut these bodies and you want to start joining all the pieces together, you will notice that one side is going to be short because of the shape which the neckline has. So to fix that problem, this is what I'm going to do. I would measure what I have on this side, which is obviously longer, this part. Measure what I have there, and I'll mark exactly the same thing on the opposite side so that it will be equal. Can you see it? Next thing I'm going to do is I would have to redraw this neckline and just do this. And that's it. So I'll do the same thing on this other side. I'll measure what I have on both sides to see if they match up. If they match up, fine, we don't need to work on it. But if they do not, then we need to make them match up. So I'll measure what I have here and compare it with what I have on this other side. There's a tiny bit of difference. We're just going to mark it. Raise the line up a bit and then blend it up. Let's go over to our underbust tightening. So for our underbust tightening, as you can see, I do have some lines on my paper already. I have my bust line here. This is my bust line. And this is my underbust line. So this is my shoulder to underbust, this line here. We're going to be doing the underbust tightening on that line. I'm going to come out here by 0.75 or 3/4 of an inch. And then I will do also the same thing on the opposite side, 0.75 here. And for this inner side, that is the center front part, I will come in by 1/2 of an inch. And I'll do same for the opposite side. I'll use a ruler to connect it downwards back to the dart. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut this and close up our bust darts, and then we'll go and work on the back next. So now I've cut the pieces out. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be closing the side dart or the bust dart. So this is what it looks like when I close my bust dart. But as you can see, this edge is pointy. This bust point is too pointy and we don't want such sharp curves. And we can also see this place is broken, so we need to smoothen out the curve here and smoothen out the curve here as well. And then I'll cut it out. You can see we have a smooth curve there. Next, I'll hold it in place with glue so it doesn't open up. Just glue a piece of paper underneath. Next, I'll reshape this side and then I'll cut off the excess paper. So this is what we have. So now we're going to work on the back piece. I'm going to tape these two pieces together temporarily, the two opposite back sides. We're going to tape them together. What we're going to do now is we're going to be working on this side. So remember on the front neckline, we came in here by 1 inch. We're also going to be doing same here so that it can match up. At this point, I'm going to pick up my front piece, this center piece of my front, and I'm going to measure what I have here. 1.4. I'm going to transfer that here so that it's the same thickness. This side, I'm going to also come down by 1/2 of an inch, and also on this side 1/2 of an inch. I'm going to connect from here to this armhole. So next, I'm also going to connect from this point to this armhole. Cut. So now I have my front piece as well as my back piece. I'm just going to tape them together to give you an idea of what this is going to look like when it's joined. This is what the front neckline. This is what the front neckline looks like, and then we have our back neckline as well. So by the time you join the shoulders together, this shoulder piece together, this is what it should look like. Can you see? So this part goes here, and then you can join the sides.